Sunan Spriggs on the program today. My name is Vince Nigro, and on Insights today, she will talk about entrepreneurship, female entrepreneurship, what she's been able to do in Toronto and Vancouver, both in the clothing industry and in the tech industry. A great interview, talks to you about how she balances family life and a lot of other things. Sunan Spriggs on Insights. Sunan Spriggs, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. You're an entrepreneur. You do a lot of work. We'll talk about some of the personal things that you do out in Vancouver, but you are originally from Vancouver
Correct. Yes.
and you moved to Toronto in 2022, you had said to me?
No, 20. I started coming out here in 2020, and then by 2021, January 1st, I signed the lease for the City Luxe location here. So that's when I made the commitment to move out here full time.
Right. So in Vancouver, you were originally involved in the clothing business. Was that the clothing business that why you came to Toronto? Was it the clothing
Yeah.
component to it? Let's talk about why'd you come to Toronto? Was it the clothing business? Was it you needed a break from Vancouver?
I need a little bit of a break from Vancouver. I just come out of a long relationship, and I was just looking for, just a change of scenery. I ended up coming out to Toronto, fell in love with the city, and they didn't have anything like City Luxe here. City Luxe is it's kind of a
City
mid-market
Luxe is your clothing
clothing store.
line,
Yeah.
clothing store.
Clothing brand, yeah. So it's mid-market, but it's, really nice fancy dresses, but like at an affordable price. And we just didn't really have anything like that here in Toronto. So I thought, I love the city. I love being here. Toronto's a much bigger market than Vancouver as well. So if I'm going to spend so much time out here, I might as well be, doing business here as well.
Right.
So in late 2020, again, thinking how long can COVID really last? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I said, okay, let me start looking at properties here in Toronto and let me open up a second location. And so by January 1st, 2021, I signed the lease for the spot in Yorkville.
The clothing business, was it something that came to you naturally? How'd you get involved in the clothing business? Was it by accident? Do you like clothing? I mean, you obviously seen how to put yourself together in terms of clothing and things of that nature. Why clothing?
It's actually a funny story. So I was in the tech space. So I've been in the tech space since about 2007. I was part of a company that ended up going public. So it was really fun to
Right.
get from.
And we'll get to that
Yeah.
part that's as well.
Yeah, so it's fun to be part of that. Then I went on, co-founded another tech company. And at the time, I had just had my daughter on my second company, and I didn't have any time to go out. I didn't have time, again, when you have a startup, you're working 12 hours a day, you're working usually 6, 7 days a week. I had no time, but I love to shop. And some people like to go drinking, or some people like to go to the gym as a way to relieve stress. Everybody has their way of relieving stress. For me, I like to online shop. So I had this huge closet full of items with, the tags on them still. But that was just my thing. I like to shop. So I'm like, how do I just monetize this so I break even? So this, way of de-stressing isn't costing me money. So 2014, I started just posting on Instagram, right? I said, maybe I have a good eye for fashion. Let me see if all the stuff I'm buying, if I can just resell it so I break even. So I literally started out of my closet on Instagram, just reselling some of these dresses that I had purchased.
And you say, wow, I'm making a little bit of money here and
Yeah.
it's turning over. So let me see if I can make this into a business.
Exactly. And then I had this huge office downtown Vancouver. We had a big tech company, and we had a lot of extra space. So I started just storing some of the dresses in the office, and I'd have girls just come into the office. I'd
Right.
give them the dress, send them to the washroom.
Right.
They'd try it on, they'd buy it. And it got to the point where on the weekends, I was opening up the boardroom. I'd have all the dresses out there. And then at a certain point, my board said to me, Sunan, are you running a dress company out of the tech company? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. We have a lot of extra space.
But
Of course, they're like, okay, you got to separate the two. So I ended up renting just a small office above on the next floor up through Regis. You can just rent 100 square feet, put the dresses there, hired some part-time girls. And I did that for 2 years. So I didn't get into retail. I didn't open a storefront right away because I never came from a retail background.
Right.
I knew nothing about retail, never worked a retail job in my life. And if I had gone and opened up, a brick and mortar store right away, I would have failed.
right. How do you find the retail business now, with Amazon and everything buying online, whatever? Do you find the retail, now that you're in the retail, How do you find that retail and with theft going on everywhere, like stuff
Yeah.
that's happening all the time? How do you find the retail business, especially in Toronto,
Retail is dying.
dying?
I'll be first one to say it.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I've been able to survive as long as I have right now is because I do so much of it myself. Like, I do the buying, I do the modeling, I build the website, all the
One stop shop.
you have to. If I had to have that overhead of having that many
Right.
people, I wouldn't be like, the margins are just not there.
Right.
Everybody's, and it's kind of frustrating because everybody loves being able to come in and try something in store, but then they want to go find something similar online.
So you took a bit of something you like to do, a passion, working out of your closet, turned it into a business. I'm sure that you've had your ups and downs in terms of the market when it's coming. And is it something that I know you've got a tech company? I want to talk about how you juggle the two companies and probably a lot more. You're very entrepreneurial about it. Do you see yourself in? Do you have a 5 year range in terms of the clothing business? Where do you see yourself going in 5 years, or do you just take it day to day, week to week, and break
It
even before make money and move on?
With the economy right now, it's really hard to have a 5-year plan because I really don't know
Mhm.
what's gonna happen. I'm holding on. I love my business. Like, I love it more than anything. So for me, it's not necessarily about, like, the profitability at this point as much as I'm trying to get through this tough time, and I know the economy will bounce back, and you have to be resilient, and you have to continue to pivot and just think of new we can't continue to do the traditional retail model. That's dead for sure, but people still love clothes. That hasn't changed. People still like to come try them on. So how do you potentially find a more niche kind of customer base? Or how do right now, every day I'm just trying to figure out how do I pivot to find an area where the margins can still be profitable and I can still continue to do what I
Right.
love.
You talked a little about a tech company. You started
Yeah.
the tech business, and then you migrated a bit into fully business. You also have a tech company.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about your tech company and how do you juggle between the tech company and the clothing business?
it's really hard. I'm not gonna lie. There's days, where like I always feel like I'm not delivering on one side. Either the tech company, my partners in that are giving me a hard time, and fair enough, or I feel like I'm, not putting enough time into City Luxe. So it's not easy. It's not something I highly recommend. I'm just a very curious mind that loves to just stay busy. But typically, I'll City Luxe opens at 11 o'clock.
I was going to ask you what a typical day in your life was like.
So City Luxe opens at 11, so I get there about 10:30. The store we say it's open till 7, but from 7 till usually midnight is when I'll work on the tech company, but I'll also keep the store open because you have less customers coming in, but you still have some customers, especially in Yorkville on the weekends, right? So I will work on the tech company from 7 to midnight, sometimes later, but I'll keep the door open. So if sales come in, like, I'll still take those
Right.
sales.
Tell us a little bit about the tech company. Is it a startup company?
It
Is this
is.
something you put together? Is it something you partnered into? Tell us a little bit about the tech company.
So about a year ago, somebody had reached out to me and kind of help asked me for kind of assistance in, this new startup idea that they had, and I kind of came on as a mentor. And soon enough, I was putting about 30 hours a week into it, and they said, "Hey, at this point, like, you're basically part of the company. Do you want to come on board?" And I said, "Okay, let's make this official." Um, and so that was about a year ago, and the concept was with AI, it's much easier to identify how good technical talent is. And from my background coming from, a tech company and hiring a lot of software engineers, I understand the pain points of how much time it would take our senior software engineers or our CTO to interview, right? And a lot of the time, the candidates that these recruiters are sending, you have recruiters that are non-technical individuals trying to identify how good an actual candidate is. So it's impossible. So by the time they end up on the interview with the CTO or the senior software engineer, a lot of the time within 5 minutes, you'll identify like, oh, this person doesn't actually have the skill set. But that's expensive. And especially for a lot of startups, like when we were going through our Series A, we scaled from 30 people to 90 people in 2 months. When you're having to put that much time on hiring, it's derailing you from your product development. So there's a cost with that. So we looked at AI and said, okay, with what the advancements that are happening, how can we make this process a lot more efficient? So that's kind of where we started. And in the last year, we've worked with a lot of recruiters. That's our focus, to really refine different types of products. So the first one started off as a tool that would just identify their skill set. So, okay, you're hiring somebody for Python. Let's measure how good they actually are. And from there, we realized that a lot of these roles, uh, it wasn't just the problem wasn't just identifying how good they were. It's from a bandwidth issue. You post a role, you're going to have 700 applications come through. it's impossible to go through that, right? And a lot of them are just going to be noise that are not even qualified. So then built like a top of funnel solution that would help to identify, um, you know, find the needle in the haystack in
Right.
terms of this is somebody who's actually worth interviewing, this is not. Because what's happening before is recruiters were saying, I don't have the bandwidth to go through the first 100 applications and I'm going to pull out 20 that look okay. But there's a whole, volume of applications that are never getting looked at just due to sheer bandwidth issues. So we built a tool that basically can look at 700 immediately, pull out the ones that are worth actually interviewing, and giving that data to the recruiters.
So you've got a store in Vancouver as well, correct?
Mhm.
So between Toronto, and Vancouver, and having the tech company and two clothing businesses, um, the do you go back and forth? Do you have people you trust over there? How do you manage that part? Like, do you go back and forth quite a bit to Vancouver, Toronto, or do you have good people in Vancouver?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky in Vancouver. I have a woman who's worked for me for 10 years. So I don't even have to think about Vancouver. I trust her with my life. I know I trust her decision making. If the things go wrong during the day, she doesn't call me every 2 minutes and say something's going wrong. She'll call me at the end of the day and say, these are the problems that happened. This is how I handled it. And if I have an issue with how she handled it, we'll talk about it. So maybe next time do it this way. But for the most part, we've worked together so long that she knows how I want to run the business and she'll handle it.
Right. You're obviously an entrepreneur running all these businesses. Are you always on the prowl for new things, new businesses? Do you keep your eye on new things that are coming down the pike, or is that something you've kind of just concentrating on your existing businesses right now?
I try to concentrate on my own because, of course, I'm curious.
Course.
So, but I have to balance being distracted. And there's so many opportunities out there, so many opportunities that people come to me and say, "This is a great idea," and I think, "Yeah, that is a great idea."
There's only
But
so much time in the day.
there's only so much time in the day, and I have City Luxe, right? That's the main one, the stores in Vancouver,
Right.
Toronto, and online. I also have a company called Rewear Luxe. So I started doing rentals, right? Because rental's a big market now too. So that's a separate website. I operate it out of City Luxe, but if women maybe they have a wedding or they have a gala where they're going to only wear that dress
Right.
once, now we have the rental component of that. I also have a streetwear line because again, women's fashion is it's a very saturated market. So now I'm trying to
You've
dip
done
my
creative. You've done creative in terms of the marketplace.
yeah, so then I've got a men's line that I'm working on. I've got the tech company. So between all three of those, trying to, find time for a social life and, my family, it's like I don't have that much time.
Right.
I have to be very careful with how much, I dig into other businesses or what else is going on out there.
Yeah, you really got to prioritize your time and who you're dealing with. And as we know, there's a lot of tire kickers out there that just
Yeah.
kind of want to hang on and sometimes pull you down. As an entrepreneur that you are, female entrepreneur, a successful one, you've got a young daughter as well that, you've got to balance that as well. What advice someone who's watching the program that wants to kind of follow in your footsteps, kind of do what you're going to do, would you dissuade them from getting into retail? What's the advice you would give someone?
I would say don't get into retail right now. It's really hard. It's very competitive. But if you have a brand, like if you're a fashion designer, you have a brand that you like, that's different. So I wouldn't necessarily go to the brick and mortar retail side of it, but if you're a designer, there's still a lot of opportunity for that, and you can design your own product and then you can get it into other retailers. So I think there's more opportunity in that space than just going to brick and mortar because brick and mortar, there's so much operating costs that go along with it, and everybody's just trying to be like,
On top of the theft and people walking in and just
yeah.
making a bad scene. The Vancouver life as opposed to the Toronto life between the two cities, I'm not asking you to compare the two cities. You enjoy kind of when you go back to Vancouver and you come to Toronto, or do you see yourself in Toronto long term? What's your feeling between the two cities?
I l so Vancouver that's my family time.
Right.
So I'm in Vancouver and I'm lucky I've had that woman that has worked for me for 10 years. So I don't really need to be in the store that much. I'll go in, after during the school year when I drop my daughter off at school, I'll go in and I'll work till about, 3 o'clock and then I'll go pick her up and then the afternoons that we're together. Um, so I don't have to do as much in store time in Vancouver and I don't go out when I'm in Vancouver, like that's family time. But I go back and forth every week because my ex-husband and I, we share custody. So 1 week on, 1 week off.
Right.
So the week that I don't have my daughter, I'll fly to Toronto. And that's where I put in the crazy hours. That's where I'm working, till 2 a.m. every day.
So now, in terms of I mentioned the 5-year plan, or whatever. Most smart entrepreneurs or business people always design an exit.
Mhm.
And between these two businesses, And you have to always have an exit. Like at the end of the day, you enjoy what you're doing as well, but you have to have a profitability component to it and a money component to it as well.
Mm.
And and it's more on an entrepreneurial side question. Have you designed a little bit of an exit somewhere in the back of your mind between either one of the businesses or both of the businesses?
So the clothing brand is a lifestyle business, right? I don't necessarily want an exit from that.
Right.
I really that's my passion.
Something that's going
Yeah.
to be always ongoing in your lifestyle.
And I love it. Like I
Because you can always, as you get older, you can transcend it to different sections.
Yeah, and I love it. That was my hobby. I monetized my hobby. So that's going to be the lifestyle brand. For the tech company, obviously it's always you're trying to find an exit, right? Whether it's through acquisition or just taking it. I love startups. So once you get to like the Series A like stage, that's when I kind of like to exit, bring in other people who really like that stage of growth. So for me, that's the exit plan is,
Yeah.
the tech company.
And just a final exit question,
Yeah.
a fashion question. There's trends all the time, changes all the
Yeah.
time. People say white pants are in for the summer. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of different things going on. What's the trend coming down the pipeline in women's fashion?
So one thing I've done well with the City Luxe is not following trends.
No, okay.
So there's always some new dress that's on trend. And sometimes I look at these things and I'm like, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. I like to stick to what makes the woman's body look beautiful and it's going to make them feel amazing. All right. So there's a lot, like I could say colors like butter yellow and lavender are very popular this year. Last 6 months, you saw these bubble dresses that came out. It was like these puffy bottoms. I thought they looked terrible. Like I didn't want to bring them in because I don't think they actually make the woman's body look amazing. So there's lots of times where there might be a trend, but I'm just gonna say, no, I'm not hopping on this.
Yeah, it's like the art business. People ask me the same question about art. Look, is it a commodity? Can you buy it? I always tell people, buy a piece of art that you know you're gonna like to look at every day, whether it's in your office or your home, and enjoy it. Doesn't matter whether it creates more value or not. Just enjoy it. And clothing, I guess, would be the same thing. Wear things that are comfortable, make you look good, because everybody's got a different body type, body set,
Yeah.
and don't follow a trend.
Yeah. Just big and I have one of my superpowers is when a woman walks in, I know how to dress her. I know how she's like. I look at everything. I look at the way she carries herself. I look at the way I can just tell by her personality. Like I can do magic. Like I can fit any body type and I can make them feel and look amazing. Because the most important thing is like if you somebody else might think you look good in a dress, but if you don't feel that, you're not going to walk with confidence. You're not going to, and then that's going to shine through. So that's like a superpower I have. I can like make people just feel amazing.
Right. We can go on, and just wanted to thank you for coming in, joining us on the program and sharing with us a little bit of your story, your entrepreneurship, uh, juggling these businesses, family life as well. Great advice you've given us. Enjoy success, and hopefully you'll come back and you'll tell us some fashion trends that are coming down the pike.
Yes.
So thanks for being with us on the
Thank
program.
you for having me.
All right.
Okay.